Hey guys, Steve Welch here, Beeman Toyota in Nashville. I did a video for you guys a couple days ago that was about ways that you devalue your car. So if you haven't seen that, definitely take a look at that. I'll link it as well. But ways that you devalue your car, it's your fault. So if it's your fault if you devalue it, it should be your fault if you get more money for it too, right? So what's the simplest ways that you can get more money for your trade-in? I'm going to show you guys that right now. I'm going to talk to you here a little bit about it, and I'm going to talk about several ways that you can get more money for your vehicle with just some simple things that you can do to it. All right, so first way, get a fresh oil change, guys. If you look at somebody who doesn't know, right, doesn't know a lick about cars, absolutely no idea, just complete novice, they're gonna pop the hood and you watch them look under the hood, right? They go under the hood of this 4Runner right here, and they pop the hood. First thing they do is they grab the dipstick. You can tell in their eyes that they don't have a clue. They don't know what they're looking at, right? They pull the dipstick, right? They look at the oil. What's the color of the oil? Is it black? Is it dark brown? Does it look like somebody maintained their car? Very, very easy to tell. Pull the dipstick, take a look at it, right? You'd be surprised how many people have no mechanical aptitudes first thing they do. You'll also be surprised how many people that are very good mechanics, it's the first thing they do. They pull the dipstick, right? Now some of those mechanics, what they'll do is they'll actually get underneath and they'll look at the oil filter too and take a look at the brand of the oil filter and see how old it is. So just dropping the oil and putting new oil in it, you still got to change your filter too, but and if you change it with a cheap filter, that could cost you money as well. But do it right? Do it right. So anyway, so the other thing, detail your car, guys. There's no better way to have somebody excited about buying your car than to have it shining, beautiful inside and out, just beautiful car. No better way for somebody to say, I want that car. Just beautiful, right? So that's it. So buy new floor mats. I don't care how old your floor mats are. Floor mats are cheap when in the big scheme of things. And I would recommend getting the all-weather floor mats because more people want those than not. But even if you got a new carpeted floor mat and you put those down, sometimes you bought the car and you got two sets of mats and you liked one of them, you didn't like the other, so you set the other ones in the plastic. And I've had people had them in their trunk and just said, yeah, I've never had them out. Take those floor mats, put those in your car. Why? Because it's gonna look better. It's gonna look more new. Everybody wants something new. Even if it's just new to them, they want something new. So that's an easy way to get a little bit more money out of your vehicle. So, by the way, the other thing is if you have the all-weathers, don't armor all them. There's some people that try to shine those up, make them look all shiny. They're not supposed to be shiny, and when you throw that armor all on there, or that protectant, whatever you want to call it, or armor all-ish, armor all-ish kind of stuff, when you throw that on there, it's going to make it slick. As you drive it, that person is going to feel very uncomfortable driving your car. Do not armor all your floor mats. You don't want somebody uncomfortable driving a car that you would like them to buy, right? All right, so replace broken or worn out items, right? So one of the most common things that you'll see that's broken or worn out are like the headlights, right? When you got the headlights on a vehicle and they are all clouded over, right, because of the road grime and the way that they do them now, if those are all clouded over, replace them. They're not that expensive to replace. You can do it for a couple $100, makes the car look brand new. Replace them. There are kits out there that you can actually shine them back up. They don't work as good as new, but they definitely can do a job that makes it look a whole lot better. But you need to address things like that. If you have a broken mirror, replace the mirror. There's a lot of these things are very, very cheap to replace that people don't replace. I've seen people reupholster armrests, right? Why? Because you wanted the more money for it. Cracked up armrests in some of these old cars. If you have a cracked up seat Some of the leather seats on some of them, especially domestic cars, some of those seats, they're just so thin on the leather that they end up cracking over time. Do you know you can reupholster that seat and it doesn't cost you that much? You might end up getting more out of it as a reupholstered seat. Now, don't get me wrong. If you got 250,000 miles on it, don't reupholster the seat. But I'm talking about if you got cracks on it and it's got 65,000 miles on it, if you make that interior look brand new, because it is brand new, it's going to demand more money. Will it be as much as it cost you to put it in? Probably. You know, could it be less? Sure. But is somebody more likely or less likely to buy your car and you sell it quicker or trade it easier with the new interior in it? Because keep in mind too, if somebody just goes, well, I'm just going to replace the interior anyway, there's time involved in that. Well, you took that time, meaning that you waited for it to come back, because you probably didn't need the car anyway. You waited for it to come back and you did it. So something else that you would want to do is replace your tires and make sure that they match. So if your tires are kind of, fairly well new, then definitely there's no need to replace those. But if they're getting down there and they look like they're a little wore out, or they're an off-brand or something like that, replacing them will probably be a good thing for you. If you're trading it in, chances are you're probably better not to. Just be quite honest with you. Just realize it's going to cost you a little bit, but it probably won't cost you as much as replacing them. But if you're trying to just sell it on your own, new tires will probably help to sell it on your own. All right, so here's something. Oh, and the other thing about that, make sure your tire light's not on. So even with good tires, if somebody gets in your car and your tire light's on, that's going to cost you money. All right, the other thing you want to do is make sure, if you're trying to get your tire light out and you can't, check your spare, because your spare usually also reads for your tire light. All right, so now what else? Eliminate smells, air fresheners, perfumes, and smoke, of course. Like I said, don't smoke in your vehicle. You're going to make sure that you maintain your vehicle higher anyway, but the more of those smells you can get out, the better. There are certain perfumes that are highly objectionable to people. You might think it smells great, but realize that the other person that you are trying to get to buy your car might think it smells horrible. There's a reason that there's more than one scent of perfume. It's because people have tastes. You want it to smell like nothing. You don't want it to smell like a perfume. You don't want it to smell like a pine tree. You don't want new car scent usually, because it's not quite new car scent. If you can make it a neutral smelling car, that's the best way to do it. If you have to put an air freshener in it, put something that is very, very mild in there that does not change it. Don't put like vanilla, because there's people that'll get in and hate that smell. Cinnamon, same thing. People will get in and hate that smell. There are people that love them. They make them, right? There's people that love them. Just realize that it can cost you if your car smells good, bad, otherwise, right? I mean, I've had people put cookie air fresheners in there before, because everybody likes to smell the cookies, and you find out that there are people that don't like that either. So, so something else, replace the burned out headlight, tail lights, things like that. If you have a burned out light, replace it. It's going to cost you money, but it's going to cost you less money to replace it than it will for somebody looking at it going, oh, they obviously didn't care about their car. They left a burned out headlight. They didn't even care, right? So something else. So remove bumper stickers. Take bumper stickers off. Preferably don't ever put them on in the first place, but if you have bumper stickers on, remove those. And hopefully underneath, if they've been on there for a long time, you're probably going to be a little bit stuck. You might have to repaint something to get the paint to match, but it just realize that bumper stickers that are, especially things like political messages and things like that, it's going to hurt you to sell your car, because you have to find the person that agrees with you. I don't care what side you're on, you got to find the person that agrees with you to buy that car, right? So that could be an issue. So definitely make sure you do that. Remove dents, right? So if you've got dents and things like that that are on your vehicle, they're not that hard to get them out. There's dent people all around that'll pull the dents out. It could cost you a few $100s depending on how many dents you have. If it went, if you drove around the golf course and people were aiming at you, it could be a little bit more. If you drove through a hailstorm, it'll be a little bit more. If you've got 3 or 4 dents on the car, especially if they're in a highly visible spot, if they're on the roof, it probably doesn't hurt you as much. But if they're in a very highly visible spot and you have a dent there, it could cost you money from somebody going, ooh, it has a dent. I don't want that car, it has a dent. Because remember, it's new to the person that's buying it. They want a new car. They're buying a used one, but they want a new car. Everybody wants a new car, right? They're buying a used car, so make it as nice of a used car as possible and you'll get more money for it, right? And realize if you're taking it to a dealership to trade in, those dents are probably going to be cheaper for them to pull out than you. So overall, some of these things, if you decide to trade in your car, might actually be better to let the dealership do. Things like tires, like maybe the headlights, the dents, you know, those things. You know, like I said, the smells, that's going to be a hard thing for you to do anyway, but the dealership might actually have a little bit better of a way to deal with smells than you do. But just realize that, you know, they're going to take off for the work they have to do when you trade it in. So if they've got to do, you know, $1,000 in tires and they think that it's going to cost them $300, $400, $500 to do the dents, you know, it might have cost you $1,200 for the tires, and it might have cost you, you know, $500, $600, $700. So $100 or $200 more for the dents it might cost you. So realistically, if you're trading it in, it might be better to not do a little bit of this, just based off of what you think the dealership could do cheaper than you could, especially since most dealerships, at least most of the ones you should go to, would own a service department and most likely also a collision center. So just realize that. So I did a video not too long ago that said the #1 thing you should look at when you're looking at where you should buy a car from is a service department, especially a used car, because if they don't have a service department, they didn't look at your car, right? It's just my opinion, but I'm not wrong. So make sure if you have a cracked windshield that you address it. Once again, that's something a dealership could probably address a little bit cheaper than you can, but cracked windshields aren't what cracked windshields used to be. It used to be you could replace a cracked windshield for a couple $100, $200, $300, $400. Now you have to recalibrate safety systems. Some of them will be on back order, stuff like that. You definitely could have a $1,000, $1,200 windshield issue if you have a cracked windshield. If you have the little, you know, a little chip or something that gets on your windshield, fix that immediately. It will cost you less money, right? Looked at the helicopter. I don't know why I do that, but I do. Anyway, so make sure all your idiot lights are off, and I call them idiot lights affectionately. It's, you know, the indicator lights on your dash that indicate that there is a problem with the vehicle. Your oil light, your tire pressure light, your, you know, check engine light, brake, you know, all those lights that are on there, make sure that they're not on. If they're on, you might be able to address it very cheaply, but when a potential buyer sees that you've got a check engine light on, which might be because your gas cap was bad and it cost you a couple dollars to fix and that light's back off, they see check engine and they're going to run from your car. They just are. Or they're going to end up lowballing you for that car if they do actually make you an offer on it. So here's something else that people don't think about. Turn your radio to something that's not objectionable. By that I mean, if you like rap music, that is fine. But when you got a little old lady coming into your car and she hears every other word is a cuss word because you liked rap music, she might not buy that car just because of what was on the radio, right? I like comedy on Sirius, right? I've actually opened a car for an old lady one time that we were getting in there. I said, look, you can go to Sirius. I went to a comedy channel and it started saying some stuff that was not all that good. So, I mean, it might have been funny, don't get me wrong, but it really, when you have an 80-year-old woman with you and you're me and somebody's talking about certain things, it's highly uncomfortable. So turn it to country music or classical music. Usually you're not going to go wrong with those two things. At least before you show the vehicle, make sure that you have the music on something that is not objectionable. If somebody gets on there and they hate classical music and it's got classical music playing, they're just going to change the channel or shut the music off, right? They're not going to be offended by the music. So rock music, certain rap music, stuff like that, there are people that can be offended by some of the things they say. why have that be a possible issue for you? Just change it to something that's less objectionable and you're going to be fine, right? Plus, it lets somebody test out the radio with the music that they would probably like, because if they don't like what you have it on, they're going to turn it to what they want as opposed to what is on. And they're not going to be upset about having to do that. So that's, and here's the other thing I would say too, is that it might give them the comfort of them immediately having to turn the radio station to something, so they would take ownership of that too. So it could help you. So, you know, do what you want to do, but that's just my opinion, and I'm not usually wrong. So empty out your car. You're trying to sell your car, it's sitting out front, and you've got a bunch of junk in your car. You got trash in the back seat. You've got McDonald's cups in the cup holder. You've got, you know, and hey, we all love McDonald's, right? But you put McDonald's cups in the cup holder, you get in there and you have a bag that you had, 3 days ago from McDonald's, and it still smells like McDonald's on the inside. There's another smell, right? You want to eliminate all that stuff. You don't want the car to have felt like it was lived in, because the person that's going to buy it, they want to be able to visualize that car as their own. So you want to get more money for it, empty it out as much as you possibly can. Leave your registration, your insurance in the glove box, stuff like that. Leave your owner's manuals and things like in there. Empty the rest of your junk out. I know, well, sorry, it's your stuff, but empty the rest of your junk out. just saying, right? So remove or replace, but preferably remove seat covers. All right, so you put seat covers on there to make it look real good. You're getting ready to sell it, take those off. Chances are seat covers don't look good now anyway. They did their job, it's over. If for some reason you feel like you need to replace them, then replace them, but more likely than not, just remove them and let it be the whatever is under that seat cover to be what what it is, right? So that's something that's there for you, right? So steering wheel covers too. Add steering wheel covers to that. Nobody wants to see your steering wheel cover. Nobody's going to agree with yours, probably. If you ever gone to an auto parts store and saw the selection of steering wheel covers, it's massive. Why? Because people have very different tastes. The chances are of somebody getting in your car and going, oh, that's the exact seat cover I would have bought, or exact steering wheel cover I would have bought, probably minimal. So seat covers that have cartoon characters on them, stuff like that. Steering wheel covers that match, cherries on the front and on the back. Those types of things are very personalized. You want to depersonalize your car to be able to sell it. Pull the seat covers off, steering wheel covers off. If you've got, any identifying things on the dash, you got a sticker on the dash, something like that, get those things off of there. It's gonna hurt your value to the person that is looking at the car, right? And the other thing is, if you're buying a car, maybe you take some of these things and if you see that some of these things are the opposite of what I said to do to get your value higher, maybe you ask for a discount. It's a thought, right? So that's something else. So anyway, so reupholster the seats if they're bad or torn. It does not cost you that much to put leather upholstery, heated leather seats on a car that came originally with cloth and no heat. It's not going to cost you that much to do that. It's a couple grand maybe, but it might bring you $4 or $5, $6 grand. It will feel like a more expensive car with new upholstery. Even if you just go back to cloth, even if you don't add heated, but you have leather, chances are if you add leather, you have it heated though. It doesn't cost that much more to make it heated. People like it. So if you're going to do it anyway, might as well add that little bit to it, right? So repair squeaks, things like door hinges, stuff like that. If you open the door and it squeaks, WD-40 is great, guys. You use that WD-40, put it in that hinge, let that hinge go through it, make sure it's great. Make sure the doors close easily. Make sure all that stuff. If you have, like I said, if you have broken stuff like door handles, replace those things, right? But definitely make sure that all your squeaks are gone. And if you can get around it, sometimes suspensions squeak from coil springs, things like that. There's some things you might not be able to get around, but try to chase down what's squeaking and see if you can address it. It's going to make that vehicle worth more, right? Replace a weak battery, and this is a kind of an odd one to think about. So replacing a weak battery, if you go to turn that car and it goes whoa, 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 and then it starts, that car's got a problem. The only problem is that the battery's 6 years old and it's time to replace it. But the person that gets in that car and hears that car struggling to start, they don't want that car. I wouldn't want that car. Because why? You're looking at possibly having an issue very soon. Change your battery. It's going to help you out. All right. Something else. Replace the batteries in your key fobs, even if they're not dead. Why? Because it will work from a further distance away. Less likely to have hiccups with a brand new battery. So replace the battery in your key fobs and do it in both of them. If you knew how many times I've seen people go, well, this is the one that works and this other one just needs a new battery. The batteries are cheap, guys. Replace the battery in them, especially if you're selling the car yourself. But because here's the thing, if I get one key that works and another key that doesn't, I don't know that the battery is the reason that key doesn't work. I might have to get that reprogrammed. I have to figure that worst case scenario, I need to either cut or reprogram another key for that car. And if I'm buying it as an individual, I look at that like it has one key. It does not have two keys. It has one key because there's one key that works. There's one key that I can use. So just realize doing that is going to help you to make more money selling your vehicle. What's the last thing? Remove a tint job that's bad. If there's a bad tint job, it's got scrapes in it, bubbles in it. If it's a bad tint job, take it off. Whether or not you replace it might not matter, but at least take it off, get the adhesive off. It looks horrible with scrapes up and down a window or bubbles or pieces of the tint that have come off. It looks horrible. It does not take away from the mechanical ability of the vehicle. Vehicle's probably fine. Because here's the thing, with or without the tint, the car is either going to start, stop, run. It's going to do all that whether or not it has tint. So take the bad tint off of the vehicle. Now, if you have one window, so say your driver's window, you're always going up and down and your driver's window is the only one that's bad, it's not that hard to pull it off and replace it on one window. You don't have to pull all the tint off. Pull it off and replace it rather than pulling all the tint off when it comes to that, if you have an aftermarket tint that was installed on that vehicle. And the last thing to make sure that you get the very most money selling your vehicle is something that if you're watching this, you probably hopefully did, but you might not have, and that's to buy the right vehicle in the first place. Buy something that has a high resale. Trucks always have a high resale, SUVs always do. Of course, all of that comes into play, but when you talk about brand, you talk about color. So if when you first buy that car, if you buy a yellow car, chances are it's not going to have the same resale value as a black one or as a white one. Realize an oddball color that you really like could cost you money when you go to sell the vehicle. If it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter, right? A vehicle that you love when you buy it new, used, whatever, if you love the color, you love the color. It does not matter that somebody else might not, but when it comes to the overall value of the vehicle, and that's why you're watching this video, if you get colors that look good, it will sell for more. Weird interior colors, you know, if you got yellow interior and blue outside, that car is not going to sell easy. It's just not, right? So realize interior color, exterior color, and if you're reupholstering the interior, maybe you think about that too. You know, I've had people reupholster the interior just because they didn't like what the interior looked like, and they changed it from a tan color to a gray color, and then everything else, you know, there's a couple other tan pieces on the dash, but it all kind of fit. So that actually, you know, they thought that raised the value of the car and it made them like it better. It could happen that way. Just realize buying the right car in the first place will a lot of times help that resale value when you go to sell it. So like I said, I've showed 2 videos. I've showed ways that there are things that you do that devalue the car. Showed you that a couple days ago. And now I've showed you ways that you can help to sell your car for more money. So between these 2 videos, did I miss anything? I don't think I did. I definitely crossed over on a couple things. So there's a couple things that are the same on both lists, of course, but they're accurate, right? So let me know what you guys think. Definitely like, subscribe. Steve Welch, Beaman Toyota, beautiful Nashville. You guys have a great day, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.